I want to demo something today that the team's been working on recently. And disclaimer, it is a blockchain demo. We are not cryptocurrency maximalists by any stretch. We are technology maximalists, and blockchain is one tool in our arsenal and very distinct from cryptocurrencies. That said, a few months back, we did an R&D sprint or started an R&D sprint in blockchain as it pertains to the areas we focus on, so international trade and decarbonization, to understand why adoption was lagging where I think proponents would have hoped to be if you look back a few years. And very quickly we hit upon this Oracle problem. And the Oracle problem simply is that blockchains are self-contained cryptographic proofs. And they can't interact with the real world. So you have a lot of data and platforms and APIs that exist and are powering kind of existing trade and commerce that can't interact or can't interface with features that might make sense to deploy as a smart contract or a decentralized app. And so we have spent the last couple of months building an Oracle network and an enterprise development kit around that that allows any company or developer to very easily interface with off-chain data sources, APIs, with a bit of transform and lambdas, and present that data on-chain or trigger an off-chain action. It's completely flexible, it's completely provider, platform agnostic. And I want to demo a little bit of that here to you today. As far as I know, nobody else has ever done this. So what we're going to do is we've got a simple demo app here. And there's no servers answering requests for this. So this is running in my browser. But all the data is going to, and all the interaction is going to occur entirely over the Ethereum Rinkeby test network. And so I'm going to go to Fleetmon here, Port Hedland. Yeah, we're not Fleetmon customers. This isn't using Fleetmon. But if you are, like I said, it's a completely platform it's a completely platform agnostic product, so we can integrate with anything. So if you happen to use Fleetmon, then great. Would love to work with you on that. But let's just zoom into Port Hedland. Love me some iron ore. Let's take the Cape Legacy. Let's grab the IMO here. I'm going to go back to our app, and I want to just quickly explain what's about to happen. So we have our smart contract, our decentralized app. We're going to create a request, which is going to end up with the Zuma Oracle contract that is deployed across a handful of Ethereum compatible networks, including some of the newer layer 1 compatible networks and layer 2 rollup solutions. We're going to make that request, and our network of off-chain Oracle nodes are going to be monitoring for that. And depending on the request, they will go off and perform some work, fetch some data, do something, and they will then respond with a cryptographically signed payload to the Oracle contract, which will trigger some response in a decentralized app. So I'm going to, as I said, whack in that IMO, and we're going to trigger now with my MetaMask in again on the Rinkeby testnet. I'm going to sign a transaction on Ethereum, and this transaction now is going to go through, just like any Ethereum transaction, it's going to go through the list of miners, and it'll be propagated into a block, and we'll see that appear here momentarily as soon as it's confirmed. And once it's confirmed, like I said, the Oracle nodes that Zuma runs, here we go. That happened very quickly, actually. So we could see that the request popped up immediately. That is my wallet. This was the IMO that we requested for the Cape Legacy in block 680. And actually then in the following block, the Oracle's replied back. You can see it automatically zoomed in on the map here into Port Hedland. That's exactly where we know from Fleetmon. That's exactly, we can double check our data sources here. And so we've now got this data that is logged, both the request and the response, for any consumer of this data. Now, we fully expect that most enterprise adoption will be around private and permission chains, not necessarily public chains, public blockchains like the one that we're testing on right now. But again, our platform is completely agnostic. And so if I go ahead and refresh this, you can see that it comes now instantiated. That data point is there. We can play around with it, and we can also go and get a different. Let's get the Mount Austin here. So we can do this again. Go back, sign another transaction. We're limiting it. I'll post a link where you can play around with this. If you need some Ethereum, some test Ether, happy to send you some, but it's easy to get a hold of. We're limiting it to 1 request per address. I have special powers, but one request per address per hour. So I've just done another transaction here. We can see it's pending, but boom. So that's now just come back to us. And this is happening entirely over the Ethereum testnet, but we have the contracts deployed on mainnet as well. So you can see here, this was the actual request that triggered this response, and now we've got both of our vessels here. And a potential use case for something like this, and we certainly don't claim to have all the answers, but a potential use case for something like this might be an insurance company that wants to maintain policy data with someone with the owner of the policy about which vessels are covered over at which periods in time, and track, kind of in a secure, in a single source of truth, be able to track where those vessels were at any point in time, perhaps every hour. I don't know, maybe, certain things around sanctions or piracy zones, or just the sheer number of vessels. I'm not an insurer, and I think we want to give the framework and the tools to everybody else who does have a need and an idea to build. But as far as I know, this is an industry first, live AIS data, nearly instantaneous, accessible on the Ethereum blockchain. And again, I think this is just nice, has a nice graphical output. But at the end of the day, we can bridge any type of data store, any type of platform, and so that you can now deliver the best of both worlds. Blockchain when it makes sense, and off-chain for most things, because most things don't actually make sense to go on blockchain. So anyway, I will post a link. This will be deployed at an address that is public. I said a bit rate limited, but anyone can play around with it. If you are interested in building these types of things, please let me know. Reach out. Love to have a chat. If you struggle to get set up, I'll again post a link to how to get an injected Web3 provider like MetaMask. And if you need any Ether for one of the test nets, I can also send you some. We've got a bit. So anyway, thanks for listening. If you've made it all the way through this, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Would love to have a chat and continue to push this stuff along. Thanks a lot.